Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Screen Chronicles. I'm Steve. With me, as always, is the rare creature from the bestiary, a rare white griffin. Ooh, yes.
I prefer Caucasian griffin.
Oh, sorry. Excuse me. Colby, everyone. And today we are talking about Season 2, Episode 1 of The Witcher. And we are going to just jump into some spoiler talk here today, tell you our thoughts about the episode, give you sort of a brief recap and where our heads are at with the show. If you like this video or podcast, whichever if you're watching or listening, make sure you give us a like, subscribe, follow. Definitely. Check out our social media links in the description below and comment. Let us know what you thought about this episode.
Please.
We're going to keep it just to this episode, though, just episode 1. I've only seen the first 3 as of right now, as of our talk. So I can't even give you more than that.
Right.
But that's where we're going to keep it just to 1.
Just the first episode.
And if you haven't read some of the books, there might be kind of some spoiler territory for that.
Or played the games, I guess.
Maybe. We'll talk some game stuff. Yeah, I'll probably.
And that's the interesting thing about this kind of talk, where Steve has played the games and he's read the books. So he has a way better knowledge of the Witcher universe than I have, because I have done neither of those things. I've only watched the show and learned what I have from Steve. So if you're somebody who's more like me, Steve will have the information to enlighten you this episode. And otherwise, we should jump right into episode 1. We've been waiting for season 2 for a while. Season 1 was really solid. Like I said back when we did our season 1 review, I enjoyed it. I don't think I enjoyed it as much as you or some other people I talked to who had already played the Witcher games and read the books. To them, I've heard it was just amazing. To me, it was like, okay, I like this. I'm a little confused sometimes, but I was still pretty excited for season 2 to come out here.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I really enjoyed season 1. I think I enjoyed it more than you, just because I am a Witcher fan, a nerd. I have played through season 3, The Witcher 3, The Wild Hunt.
Right.
I've played that thing to death. I love that game. And I think that's where a lot of people actually get into The Witcher, is from that game, which is funny. It's the 3rd in the series.
Yeah.
And it's the books. It's a game that takes place after the books that have been written to this point. And then the show is actually an adaptation from the books, but you can definitely tell they take some inspiration from the games as far as the look of how things are and how people talk and the way people move and stuff.
Totally. I thought that a lot watching even this first few episodes of this season, is like these locations that they've created. It feels like this could be a video game map. Mm-hmm. And there's some things that happen. There's like, this really like feels like a video game type that I'm watching.
Yeah.
Which was cool. Which was really cool. And in season 1, I think I liked it because it's just the genre that I love. It's got that sort of fantasy. I mean, it's a fantasy medieval time period with swords and mythical creatures that it's pretty awesome. But I was definitely a little confused with the timelines in season 1. I think this season is definitely more linear, which is definitely easier to follow.
Yeah, definitely. This first episode here, it seems like everyone is in the same time. They're all in present day. I think you would really have to at this point. Otherwise, how are characters, going to meet up with each other? And we've already, they've already met each other in present day. Like the big thing that happened at the end of season 1, where this episode takes place after, that sort of sets up this episode, is the Battle of Sodon Hill, where Nilfgaard, the new rising empire from the south on the continent, and the continent is just this universe it's the world. It's
they say continent though. Yeah.
They just call it the continent. So if you're like, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on
a person.
Well, no. Lord of the Rings. What do they call Middle Earth?
Middle Earth.
Middle Earth. Jeez, oh geez, oh man, nerds, don't kill me for that. I love Lord of the Rings. But so Middle Earth, right? That's the world of Lord of the Rings. The continent is just called the continent, and that's
Yeah.
So, but from the south, Nilfgaard is this new rising power. People don't understand who this new leader is. They're calling him the White Flame. He's also sort of a religious figure. I can say that, it will be a surprise, at least from what I know from the books and the games. What I know, it'll be kind of cool, I think, for people to sort of see that, unless they've changed it. But I'm still curious about how they're going to do it. But anyway, though, the big thing is this army is now just coming north, and no one saw it coming, and they're just taking everything by storm.
Yep.
At the end of season 1, the mages from the Brotherhood and Aretuza, where it's like the male group of mages and the female group of mages, they team up and they fend off against the Nilfgaard army. And it's really just them. They were supposed to have backup from some other army. They didn't show. So it was kind of a slaughter against the mages. But at the end, Yennefer ends up doing some crazy fire magic, which is forbidden.
Which is bad. Not supposed to do that. It's supposed to be, apparently, from what I know, that's like a very dangerous form of magic for a mage to use. Yeah.
Chaos is their magic system in the Witcher universe here in the show. And so she ends up killing all the Nilfgaardians, or not all of them, but most of them. And all the other mages too, because their magic, they were doing damage. But the mages got wrecked because they were outnumbered. The other army also had mages from Fringilla. The one mage, she left Aretuza. Now she's with Nilfgaard, and she's one of the believers in the White Flame. One of the other things too we saw at the end of season 1 that is still kind of a mystery right now in this episode is Vilgeforce, who was one of the mage who was also a warrior, and he sort of took on a leadership role for the battle at Sodon Hill, and he was the one who could just endlessly keep drawing a sword. And then he got knocked off the hill by the Black Knight, the rider who went after Ciri. And then after he sort of came to and the battle was over, he killed this other surviving mage. So it's clear. It's like, what are his intentions? Is he for Nilfgaard? Is he with the mages? What is he doing?
Another big part too of season 1 was, I think, just the events leading up to when Geralt of Rivia and Ciri would cross paths.
Yes.
And that's pretty much where season 2 picks up, where they are now traveling together, learning more about each other, which is pretty cool because we saw, in season 1, they had their separate timelines. We saw Geralt's whole thing with the law of surprise, that he, made the promise to Ciri's parents, right?
Yes.
And now he's living up to that. So,
yeah. If you remember, Ciri's mother, she and Dooney, who was this guy who was cursed to look like a hedgehog, they sort of have like this sort of Cinderella sort of fairy tale with a weird twist on it kind of thing, where the curse breaks when they get permission from the mother, who died in season 1, to get married. And then turns out she's pregnant, and Geralt just, on a whim, he's like, I'll take the law of surprise. And then she throws up and pregnant, and he was like, fuck. and so it was just, there was this tie of destiny was the big thing. And I think for a lot of people, they're just like, why is there's bond between these two strangers, and it's really just the destiny thing. That's the big thing for this. And it's kind of like what she needs is a father figure to mentor her and teach her how to become a warrior, but how to be morally good and sound. And then he needs someone to sort of raise and make him not so cynical of the world, because he's an old man. That's, he's lived through a very long time as a Witcher. If that's one thing you took away from season 1 is, decades went by we saw. So he's seen a lot, and he's kind of a cynical person in some ways because he's been bitten in the hand a lot of times when he has tried to help people out, like when Renfrey was going to attack the town.
Yeah.
And everyone just hated him. And he's a monster hunter. He kills, things that are killing villagers, but people still hate him because he's a mutant. So This is someone like for him. So that's the big thing. Destiny, they balance each other out.
Totally. And I got to say, in this first episode, I found him less cynical so far. Do you agree? Like, he's a little bit less grumpy, a little bit more friendly to the girl. Just his overall personality, I found less cynical.
Yeah, I think she is already sort of lightening him up. He still was a little sort of crotchety a couple times, but I like that. I like that about him.
Oh, me too. Me too.
The big thing that happens is it opens up and there's some villagers just getting massacred.
Yeah, they're trying to get into this town. Yeah. And we can't see what it is. It's like a wind sweeps them up or something. Then they drop down like all chewed up. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. And they end up at this house. Anyway, Geralt and Ciri do. Well, first they go to the battle looking for Yennefer.
Yeah, everyone's looking for Yennefer too.
Everyone
also, Tisea.
Yeah.
And nobody can find her. So they all make the assumption that she is dead.
It was a pretty sweet opening too. Just all the bodies and the smoke, and you can tell a lot of budget is in this season.
I would dare say more than last season.
Oh yeah,
because I remember last season there were a couple times the CGI was a little bit. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't great.
Yeah,
where so far what I've seen, CGI is top notch.
Yeah.
The effects are top notch so far this season.
This feels kind of like something from Disney Plus, Mandalorian kind of level CGI so far to me.
Yeah, I would agree.
But it was really cool, just the battle going through, and for Tisea is very distraught. She thinks Yennefer's dead.
Geralt is as distraught as he can show.
Yeah.
I think he does shed some tears.
He does. He shed some tears when he's walking away. He doesn't really talk about it at all, but he shed some tears. So him and Ciri now are together on their way to Kaer Morhen, where the Witchers reside and live during the winter.
I love that.
Yeah, isn't that sweet?
They say they go and they heal up until like the next season.
Yep.
It's their off season, and the bros just get back and just hang out.
Yeah,
it seems awesome. What if we could do that? Like all of our friends, whatever jobs we have, like once like December 1st hits, we just all meet up in Montana or something, and like, and we just chill for months on end.
Just this giant ranch, and we just all live together.
Yeah.
Yes, we need to start doing this.
Yeah, then we move back and resume our lives again.
Yeah, we're like, all right, well. January 31st just happened. Got to go back.
Yeah.
But anyway, though, they're on their way and they stop at this village where at the beginning we saw the villagers getting massacred by some monster.
Mm-hmm.
Geralt opens the door and gets tackled by what looks like a monster. And I think a lot of people who are unfamiliar with the story of From the Last Wish, the book. So the show is based off of the books by Andrzej Sapkowski, a Polish author who writes the Witcher books. And The Last Wish is where a lot of the season 1 gets stuff from, and Sword of Destiny. And then this one is kind of combining Blood of Elves, Sword of Destiny, and The Last Wish all together too. But anyway, monster tackles Geralt, but it turns out it's a friend. And it's actually played by Christopher Hivaju, and he's playing Nivellen in this, and who's the monster, quote unquote.
And you know what it reminded me of immediately?
Yeah,
was the Beast from Disney's Beauty and the Beast, like his looks.
Yeah,
I was just like, it's
in the house too, weird. Right? The House of Baze's commands.
The house also like the House of Baze's commands. The house went nuts when they first got. Mm-hmm. The doors and windows were like slamming open, and it's like, oh, what is this?
Mm-hmm.
And then when he came out, like I was like, okay, here's our first monster battle. I figured we were going to get some kind of monster battle here in episode 1. And then when he's like about to kill me, he's like, no, it's me. So there we go.
It's a friend.
Friends. It's a friend.
And that's the big thing with how Andrzej Sapkowski writes the books is actually, especially the Last Wish. When I was reading it, to me, it felt as though every story was sort of a dark twist on regular fairy tale stories. And this one is obviously Beauty and the Beast. And he talks about how he was cursed. And that's why he's a beast now. And he has tried kissing all the fair maidens and falling in love and stuff.
Because that's what he said. The way to break the curse is something about love and blood or something.
Love and blood.
Because that's what he says. Like, oh, it's something about love and blood.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried, and nothing's worked.
Yeah. So I mean, it's and like we said, the house. If you watch Beauty and the Beast, the whole house, it was all of his servants were, did things for the house and was alive. And now here,
I like
the house
how
just listens to it.
Yeah, but I like how it's not all smooth. It's like dinner, and it just drops from the ceiling and like
just like when a game like loads in food and it's above or objects and it just falls. Just scatters
down. Yeah, and it scatters, it crashes on the table. And I love that. How awesome would it be to just do that? That'd be
great.
So great.
Especially unless you had soup, you just wanted like a bowl of chili or pasta.
Scalding hot soup. Ah!
But it was a good meal. And that's what they have dinner. And Siri's with them too. So if you are a fan of the books, Siri is not in The Last Wish. She doesn't come along until Blood of Elves. Well, kind of sort of Destiny, but Blood of Elves then is the first, chronological where Siri goes to Kaer Morhen and trains with Geralt stuffs. But I didn't think she took away from it at all. She kind of added to it in ways, but it's definitely different. It's if you listen to our talks about The Last Kingdom, the seasons usually combine 2 books together and change some stuff as well. And it's kind of what they're doing here. They're combining some books so that all the main characters are sorted together, because really The Last Wish is just Geralt, so if they would have just done that, season 1 would have just been Geralt. So I think they just wanted to bring in the other characters too, is why we had the timeline stuff going on. But now they're all there. We can't just be like, all right, let's put them on the shelf again.
Totally.
But anyway, though.
But this beast guy, his name's Nivellen, right?
Yeah, Nivellen.
He's being pretty nice to Ciri. He like gives her a bath, and the whole time I'm noticing Geralt is super suspicious. He's like, he doesn't really know if this is a safe place. He even says that, like, he like confronts his friend. He's like, look, I'm sorry, but I need to know if she's safe, because like, look at you. And he's like, it's still me, don't worry, it's still me. Which is like, okay. But while she's in there taking a bath, I think, or getting ready to take a bath, she hears something up in the ceiling, or maybe she doesn't hear it yet, but we can hear it. And you can like see eyes looking through this hole in the ceiling. And it's like, oh, that's kind of creepy. And then when they're eating dinner, I think she did hear it, because I think she asked, like, do you have what's in the ceiling? That's the sound I hear. And he's like, oh, it's my cat.
Yeah.
So.
And they both pick up on it right then, though, that something's off, because she's like, aren't witchers or aren't cats afraid of witchers? And he's like, I thought no one could be with you or something. And he was like, oh, let's do something else now.
Yeah. And then like they go their separate ways. She goes to bed, and Geralt's like, he's like, I'm going to go. I think I should go make sure this is a safe place. He says that, and then he just goes out and hangs out with his horse.
He's like, hangs out with Roach.
He's just like out there. He's like, you're not checking.
I know. He said, I'm going to check the perimeter. He just stands in one spot.
No. And while he's doing that, I think that's when this, and I was thinking about you at this part, because it's kind of creepy.
Oh my god! So when this happened, so what happens is the Bruxa, the vampire. You don't know she's a vampire yet, but she moves all contortion-y and twisty, and like the frame rate of her is like off too. It was it was so disturbing.
It was straight out of a horror movie.
Luckily, I had like gotten up to get food or something and walked away from the TV for like a second. So like my kitchen is right next to the TV. So I was not just sitting there when it first happened, because I think I would have died. I think I might have just
I was thinking about
died on the couch.
I was like, oh man, this is scary.
It was scary.
Crawling on the ceiling, like her bones are all contorted and walking down the ceiling, and ooh, that was creepy. And then she comes. Yeah, but then she like crawls up to her bed and wakes up Siri. And when you see her face, like it's a weird face, but it's like kind of a pretty face, I would say. And she says, "My name's Verena."
She was talking to her mentally too, and like how they're the same, that they're both sort of damaged people, and that they have darkness inside of them, that kind of stuff. So Siri kind of bonds with her, and she finds out it was her that left her that nice dress.
Yeah. But they made a connection, her and Siri, and I think led Siri to believe that this was not a threat.
Yeah. And then I don't know if it was before or after, but Geralt was nudged by Roach at some point, and he found bodies of the villagers that we saw killed at the beginning, buried in the snow.
Yep.
And so,
but he also found footprints like on that property, at the house property.
Yeah, he did.
And they just in the snow, and they just disappeared. That was like his first hint. And then he went to town, and he saw the bodies that were all mangled, and then he said, "It flies."
Yeah. And it's what I really liked about this, is it did feel like one of the missions from the Witcher game, where you get a contract from someone, you don't know what the monster is yet, and you go and you find tracks and you find these other clues, and you're putting it together, and then you're like, oh, it's a Bruxa or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's what the monster is here. It's a Bruxa. But anyway, though, Geralt first has a sort of a truth conversation with his buddy Nivellen, and they bring in knives, and they try and hit the head on this portrait, and whoever misses the head has to tell the truth. And Nivellen was just lining him straight down, and Geralt just keeps missing it. First, I thought
weird.
Yeah. At first, I thought he was doing it on purpose. I was like, because he smiled after each one. But he wasn't smiling because he was doing it on purpose. He was smiling because he's like, oh, I can tell something's going on here.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I know that would have been dead on. I'm a dead on guy. Because he throws his own knife from his pants then and hits it right in the center, after he's already had a bunch of meat and he's sitting down now. And so it turns out he's been hiding this Bruxa. Yeah. And at one point, again, kind of messing up on the sequencing of things here, but at some point Geralt's like, it's a Bruxa, and he goes to Ciri, and he loads up on his what's it called? I think it's called like a black venom or something like that potion. I don't know, but it's basically, I think if you, at least in the game, there's this, I forget what it's called. You take this potion, and it makes it so if the Bruxa bites you, like she'll get poisoned if she sucks your blood. I don't know if that's what he took. But that's what I would have took. That's what I would have taken.
If you're in that situation.
If I knew it was a vampire that I was going to be fighting.
Get your notebooks out, ladies and gentlemen.
That's what I would have taken. But like the Witcher potions, they never really explained it in the first season when he gets the giant black eyes and he fights that first scary creature. Is the Witcher potion, it makes a Witcher who's already like a superhuman. Yeah. It makes them even more superhuman. It makes them much quicker. It makes
Super
it so
Saiyan.
It makes it so they can
That was sweet too when he was like preparing to take this thing on, and he like told Ciri, like, get on the horse and like be ready. If something else comes out, just run away. Mm-hmm. Like when she like starts to like say something and rebuttal, he like turns around with a black eye, is like, move. And that's like, oh man.
And that's one thing I wish they would have explained, because I love it in the books when they explain after Geralt, when he's getting ready to fight that first monster that you see him fight in season 1. Not the spider, not the Ikimora, but I forget what the one is that he has to fight in the dungeons. I forget what it's called. But anyway, though, the book passage says, after he took the potion, that he had to avoid moving in front of someone because he didn't want them to see how fast he could move now that he had taken this potion. And you're like, oh, damn. Like, he had to think about being so stiff because how quick his movements would be. So I think it's kind of what they tried to show to him doing, though, because he breaks into this room and it's like all slow-mo, just like big running in, and the Bruxa is just going to town on Nivellen, just sucking his blood.
Yeah. Which I think Nivellen was all for, right?
That's what he said.
Because he was like, he's trying to figure out this curse and how to break it too. And I think maybe his thought was that because he did love this creature, this Bruxa, and I think she loved him.
Yeah, so that was why he was letting her suck his blood, is because
love and blood, baby.
Well, love and blood. But he thought that if he would just let her eat him, because again, he said earlier he's tried to kill himself and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So he knows he's immortal. So he's just go ahead, drink my blood, and then that'll quench your hunger then. But it really didn't change her nature. She did still keep killing people. And he just sort of ignored it because he loved her.
Right.
Garrett has a really sweet fight with this monster. Yeah. I dug this.
It's a great way to open the season, I have to say. Let's just take a second just to give props to Henry Cavill. I thought he was born to play Superman, but I think he was born to play Geralt of Rivia. I mean, he is awesome. Yeah. He's been awesome, I think, the entire show. Even for a guy who's not super well versed in the Witcher universe, like, I love the way he plays this character. It's awesome.
He's a giant fan. He's a giant,
which makes me like it even more.
I know, right? And I think he does. I mean, I read somewhere he did all of his stunts for season 1, and even falling through the floor and stuff like that. And it looked like a bunch of times when he was getting yanked around, I was like, man, I think that's him. I don't know though. The CGI is really good this season. I don't know.
Yeah, it was good. And and I mean, remember at that when we went to the Renaissance Fair this year and all the Witchers we saw out there, they could easily have a stunt double.
They could easily
just put that wig on. I was hoping to do this talk with each of us wearing those wigs, like yellow gold eyes or something.
Next one we will. I need a Witcher shirt. That's what I was looking at. I was like, I don't have a Witcher shirt.
They have so many cool logos. Every episode has a different symbol at the beginning of it, and all of those symbols would look sweet on shirts.
Oh yeah. But it was a great fight.
Yeah.
With the Bruxa, Silver Sword, and what ends up actually happening is the Bruxa is going to go kill Ciri because Ciri decided not to leave as Geralt told her that she was supposed to do. And Nivellen actually comes out and runs her through with a spear. Yeah. And she just pulls in closer to Nivellen.
Creepy. What else did that? Davy Jones, maybe?
Davy Jones. That's a good one.
Davy Jones who did that?
Anyway. There's a bunch of creepy things that when they get... You can't remember every movie when someone does it. That was a great call with Davy Jones from Pirates
I think it was, yeah. But also, I think when it's coming toward him, I think that's when Geralt goes and cuts her head off.
Just slashes that. No hesitation.
Yeah.
Just wham. And the guy is sad. And then
he is. And he burns up. The body burns up, I think. And all of a sudden, there's your love and blood, baby.
And his curse is lifted. And it turns out then that, he loved her and now he's sad.
Yeah, he's so upset about it.
Because she loved him even though he was a monster. He looked like a monster. And then Ciri was just like, oh, man, I feel bad for them and stuff. But, she was the Bruxa was killing the whole town still.
Yeah.
Was eating all the villagers. And then it turns out we find out Nivellen why he got cursed it wasn't just because some priestess didn't like him. It was because he killed all the servants and he raped the priestess. So
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
and that was when he was a man too. So that was before, he was the beast. And
Right.
again, that's what like
Cool.
Andrei
That's,
Sikowski's commentary was always on. It's like, who's the real monster?
Yeah, I
There's
like that.
Things that are
because
monsters. The guy was a monster before he was the
Before.
beast.
Before he was the beast. Yeah.
So
I
And
like
that's-
that little spin. Yeah.
yeah,
And when they're leaving, Nivellen is sort of like, just do me one favor, just kill me here. And I think Geralt says, you're mortal now. You can do that yourself. And they leave.
Yeah.
Pretty epic first episode there.
yeah.
That
Some other little things too. It turns, I don't know if we know this episode, but the Black Knight gets captured by the mages. The one who is the main Nilfgaard guy who beat Vilgefortz.
Yeah.
And Yennefer is actually alive, and she is with
Fringilla.
and some handful of Nilfgaard people
Yes.
leaving the battle. And turns out, she's bound by these Dimeridian handcuffs, so she can't.
Yeah.
Apparently, she can't use her magic because of this. And then it ends with all of the Nilfgaard guys just getting stabbed with spears and just pulled off into the darkness. So
Mhm.
I was pretty pumped. I was pretty
Me
pumped
too.
after this.
Me too.
What was your favorite moment from the episode? Favorite moment?
I gotta say that battle with the beast, or with the Bruxa, because that's what I was waiting for.
Yes.
And I remember back to the first episode of season 1, the most memorable moment was the sword fight.
Mhm.
Remember that sword fight was one
Oh, yeah.
of the best choreographed sword fights, with the cinematography, with Henry Cavill, the moves, whoever the stunt coordinator was, it was so sweet. And so I was like, they got to start this season with something epic like that again. And they did. And again, the effects were really good. They, even when the Bruxa turned into the bat, her like 1,000 teeth, it was awesome. How do you brush all those? I wonder, And what about you?
I would probably say it too. I mean, the monster stuff, that was the big part of what I liked from the games, is any great monster quest you had. And then the books, the monster hunts was always part of it too, but then it was always sort of a commentary on something. So it was great we got sort of more of a game feel, in the sense that he was kind of hunting. He was kind of trying to figure out the mystery.
Yeah.
Because in the book, you don't really, it's not really a mystery. You don't see Geralt really looking for this Bruxa. He shows up at the house, and he had never met this Nivellen before, I don't think. And then you think he's there to kill Nivellen, but it turns out he's there to kill the Bruxa.
Right.
So that was kind of the twist in
Yeah.
that. And so I really like that. I really like it was kind of the game, but still brought in the message from the book about, there's this guy that looks like a beast. Now he's a nice guy, and he's very polite. But before he was the monster, and now there's this other monster, and it's not a kiss and true love that's going to save him in the traditional Beauty and the Beast way. It's going to be when his wife gets,
Decapitated and burn up to a crisp.
Yeah. So I really like that. And it was sort of and it was great sort of learning experience for Ciri too. He tells her in the woods, when I say run, you run. When I say hide, you hide. When I say fight, you fight. You don't just stand there and get captured again, because then we could lose.
Yeah.
So it was
That
great.
was pretty cool. Yeah. Solid first episode. Way to kick the season off.
Yeah. Let us know, guys, what else you liked from the episode there. What was your favorite moment? What did you think of the fight? What do you think? Do you like that they're different from the books? Do you not like that? Let us know. Comment below. Follow us on social media and let us know there as well. And
Absolutely. As we always say,
otherwise,
goodbye.